Caitlin and Jason. Okay, now, after what I just said, there's going to be plenty of people who disagree with me and go, okay, you said that Joey Dowling's piece wasn't good enough for Randy and Evan, but Brian Friedman's piece is okay? Okay, granted. An alien female impregnating the last male on Earth, that's pretty weird. Maybe not for straight ahead science fiction, but for dance, yeah, that's pretty far out there. And Brian has his moments where he can go far out, just like Mia was saying. And of course, birds of a feather flock together, and they definitely know each other in that respect. But it is a piece that Brian wanted to have fun with, something bizarre, something very Rocky Horror Picture Show cult type thing for people to look at and go, wow, I want some of what he was smoking when he came up with this thing. But I think that when Brian designed this, he stuck to his guns and really committed to it. And he committed to it as much as I think Caitlin and Jason committed to doing that piece. And I think they did an awesome job on it. But they could end up in the bottom three just for the bizarre nature of the piece. I don't agree with the whole thing about, oh, you look like a condom. Oh, it looked too cartoony because of all the silver stuff that I didn't like. That was the piece. The costume designs definitely went with what the piece is supposed to be about, and I thought the makeup job on Jason was phenomenal. Unfortunately, because I don't think people really can suspend their disbelief and stretch their imagination out that far, they could end up being the second couple in the bottom three. I could be wrong, but we'll find out. Number 5, Janine and Philip with the Napoleon Tabitha hip hop number. Now, the whole thing with the chain probably looked amazing on paper. They probably were thinking, wow, this is really a killer way to be creative and to do something different. And it's probably as different in its own way as Brian Friedman's piece was. I could kind of see Mia's point about the chain being distracting, and it really is disheartening to hear her say that because they were hitting it. They were doing the hip hop piece the way it was supposed to be done, with the sharp moves, the chest pumps that really came out, and just very clearly defined movements that would have made Shane Sparks just weep for joy if it had been his piece, which it wasn't. But because of all the distractions and the problems with that, I think Janine and Philip are going to find themselves in the bottom three, but we'll see about that. Melissa and Ade followed them. How do you find fresh superlatives to describe how amazing that piece was? I don't know who Thordal Christensen was. I'm guessing he's a guest choreographer this week. I hope they have him back because they have not done classical ballet before on the show, if I recall correctly. And to have a piece like this for So You Think You Can Dance is just phenomenal. Melissa and Ade could not have done this better than they did it. And what Mia said, I think, was true to a certain extent. She was like, oh, and I love the fact that it's a black and a white Romeo and Juliet. It's just so awesome. I want to expound on that comment. I think it's a mark of how far we've come in this country, how much segregation and racism and closed-mindedness and all that BS that we have put up with for decades. It's a measure of our progress that all the stuff has been smashed and destroyed and stomped to the ground to the point that we can finally see a piece performed that is this exquisitely awesome without having to think, oh my God, it's a black man, it's a white woman. Can we have this on national television? Good God, we have to do something to censor this or to tone it down because we'll get letters, we'll get calls. Not anymore. And all I can say is thumbs up for that. And I hope people really vote like hell to keep them in because of that piece, because it was just so beautiful. to be able to sit there and appreciate the fact that this is not a black dancer and a white dancer performing together. It's two beautifully trained, beautifully articulate dancers doing a piece that is timeless. And it was just so wonderful to see. But that's what I wanted to add to that. And I hope that you all out there feel the same way, and that you will let them know that we enjoyed seeing stuff like this so we can see more of it. Which brings us, last but not least, to Carla and Vittorio with the Team General Quick Step number to Putting on the Ritz. I think that for what the Quick Step is, which is probably one of the styles that everyone prays to God that they will not get, they did a pretty outstanding job of knocking this one out of the park. When it comes to Vittorio, I don't think humility is his middle name, and I think that might be a while in coming, because as good as he is, there are still parts of his performance technique, I guess parts of him personally that still need to mature as far as handling this new fame and exposure goes, but he'll get there. Unfortunately, I don't think that he and Carla, especially as the new kids on the block, are going to have the voting base that they need to keep them where they are. So I don't think they'll end up in the bottom three. I don't think that they're in trouble, but they really need to be careful about staying on their P's and Q's and raising that game up a little bit more each time, the way that obviously Kayla and Capono have managed to do. So I think that the kids are all right for this week, but let's see how they fare next week if they make it through without getting to the bottom three. So to sum it up, I think our bottom three couples will be Randy and Evan, Caitlin and Jason, and Janine and Philip. Now, as far as who's going home out of those three, Randy and Evan, let's just subtract them out of the equation right now. Safe. That leaves Caitlin and Jason and Janine and Philip. So who would I say is going to end up going home out of those four? Janine, as wonderful as she was in the hip-hop number, she could still end up dancing for her life and not quite getting there. And Jason, who we know has a lot of stuff going on for him, but his solos, especially that last one, like Nigel said, have a tendency to verge on being a little desperate, and I'm afraid that if that quality comes out even more, he could end up going. But let's just hang tight and see what they come up with. Oh, and I might want to mention, I think that this Dizzy Feet Foundation that they announced last night is wonderful. And I'm definitely going to make it a point to find out more about the foundation and, you know, kick a little something their way when I can, because it's something that sounds like it's definitely worth it. And it's really impressive the people that they got involved in this, besides Mary and Mia and the people on the show. But yeah, I would encourage everybody to go ahead and check out that website the way I'm going to and find out more about that foundation. And I'm going to post a link to that on the side as well. But having said that, I think that closes our wrap up for this week. 4th of July. Can't wait to get out there and have myself a nice long weekend, as I know y'all can't wait. Everybody have a good one. And until next week, I will talk to you later. So take care.